Good afternoon. Last official day of terms. It's Friday the 3rd of April. My daily update for today, there's a couple of things to talk about. One is obviously about Easter, but I will start first with the latest information that we have from governments. The first thing I guess I mentioned yesterday, but I'll repeat, is if you are an essential services person and you need childcare, then it is available to you for free. The government has undertaken that, and that starts immediately. So please contact your childcare centres if you need to have your children access them, or if you've withdrawn them recently and you need to send them back. Probably the other important update is about the closing of borders. It was interesting to find out a couple of things this morning. One was that Western Australia is now closed its borders to its own residents. So that's within Australia. So if you are a Western Australian resident and you're trying to go back, you can't. That again highlights the seriousness of what is happening with COVID-19 or the coronavirus. And I'm mentioning these things to really make sure that people understand, even in rural communities, that this is something we all have to take seriously, and the only way we're going to stop it is by self-isolating in our homes. On the Queensland border this morning, there was a bus load of people from New South Wales coming to Queensland. Most of them were for work and they had a permit, one didn't. The seriousness with which the police are taking the closing of borders is such that today the police went onto the bus, checked every single passenger on that bus, and one person did not have a permit and they were removed from the bus and sent back. So even though you might not be confronting these sorts of things where you are at the moment, can I really stress to you how serious this is and the steps that all governments are taking to try and minimise the spread of this very virulent virus. So coming up to the Easter holidays, look, it's usually a time when we are all taking a bit of time to relax and be with our families, and it's usually a time where there's quite a lot of barbecues, going to the beach, family get-togethers, parties, all those sorts of things. And the temptation will be there, but at the moment you'll notice that the news people are talking about, there's a slight flattening of the curve that they're talking about, but you really need to listen to the detail of what's happening. There is a slight flattening, but there's two sets of data or two lots of information really that you need to pay attention to. The first one is cases that were brought from outside. So coronavirus cases which could be tracked back to someone coming from overseas. That was the majority of the cases up until now. So what we were monitoring, or what governments and health departments were monitoring, was the spread of coronavirus from a source that could be tracked back to someone who'd come from overseas. That's declined, which is a result of the measures that governments have taken in terms of locking down and asking people to keep their social distance and self-isolating. And that is working. The bigger fear, way more than having it from overseas, is when it starts spreading within our community in what is called community spread or localised spread, which is much more difficult to track where it comes from and is actually potentially a much bigger problem. So if we can contain this over the next 2 to 3 months, we will have the best chance of getting our country, our schools, your homes, and the economy back on track. So we need people to absolutely adhere to and try their absolute best to stay in their homes until there's other advice. So can you please, over the Easter vacation, make sure that you're observing the social distancing rules. Next week's updates, I'll provide you with some information for families of what you can do to try and alleviate or some of the tensions and frustrations that you're experiencing. So look, I'll undertake to come up with some things that I can find. There's lots of advice around, and I'll see if I can go through some of that and pull out the bits which I think might be relevant for our community. But the message is still, unless you absolutely need to for some essential purpose, stay home. From the school's perspective, look, the teachers have been working extremely hard. I can't be more proud and honoured to work with the guys here at Tallawong State School. They've been working, right through the last couple of weeks, late into the evenings, learning how to do video conferencing, using lots of new technologies. Because there is so much out there, I hope you appreciate the work that's being done to work out what's going to work here. One of the things that we do need to know, and I will be sending a survey out to parents, is to find out what technology you've got at home. So we need to know whether you've got a computer, an iPad, a mobile phone with data, any sort of information like that is going to be very useful for us to make sure that we design the work after the holidays to suit what you've got. We don't want to just pick something that off the shelf, as they say, or just something that people say, I'll just use this and give it to your parents and you guys can't access or use it and you get frustrated with that. We really want to spend some time over the holidays designing the stuff which is actually going to work for you and your kids. So when we're asking you all these questions and sending you these forms, it really is in preparation for us if we need to be in this situation for an extended period of time. So I ask again for your cooperation. Thanks for all the work that you've done so far. We've had a really good response to our home learning packs, and the teachers are getting materials ready and also working ways that they can contact you and the kids in the early part of next term as well. But look, stay safe, take care of your family, and love to everyone, and I will be giving you another update on Monday. Safe weekend.